Good morning. The other day we were talking about trusting God with the impossibilities of our life and laying those before the divine because they're too big for us. And I was thinking a lot about the prayers that people ask me to say for themselves and for their families. I have a friend whose only daughter has had a relapse of a terrible cancer. She'd been cancer-free for a year, and now she's battling this disease again. I have a friend whose mother died late last year, and she couldn't be in Vegas with her mother when her mother passed. I have a friend who buried a brother because of COVID, and his whole family now suffering. I have a friend who lost her son, and I taught the daughter, and so the daughter lost her brother, and I think of them and pray for them. There's so much suffering in the world. I think of the nearly 400,000 people who have died in this country. The grief that we are carrying, the remorse, the regret, the pain as a country is enormous. It's not to be dismissed. And when I think of these individuals and I offer to pray for them, sometimes you might wonder, what's the value of prayer? Like, what good does it do? First of all, there's a mindfulness where I'm remembering the people that are important to me, the people that I share the world with, and their needs. I'm certainly not praying to the divine because God has forgotten these people. So I'm not saying, hey, God, pay attention here. This one needs care. If my heart's moved by need, can you imagine the heart of God? God certainly doesn't need reminding from me that these people need prayers and support. But I think what happens is that when these good people we share the planet with, when my friend who's facing her daughter's reoccurrence of cancer, the desperation she feels and the lack of hope, my prayer for her is a kind of holding the field, right? What do I mean by that? Holding the space for her hope, which is waning at times. The people in your life, their hope waning, like hard to be hopeful. So by praying for them, step into this space where their hope would exist if it could. I hold that field of hope. I hold that field of forgiveness. I hold that field where they're feeling that grief. And I hold it for them. They might not be in a position where they're hoping anymore, but definitely I can hold that hope for them. And so this prayer, this place of prayer in my life for others is really about walking with one another. I don't take away the fear and the burden or the pain, but I know that in my offering to pray for them, there is a comfort and a consolation that they are not alone. Of course, God would never leave us alone, but sometimes God feels far away. And so God relies on the care and love that we have for one another to be those hands and feet, to hold that field, to be that person of hope and care and love. So if you need prayers, put them down here below this video, and I promise to pray for those intentions that are in your heart. You don't have to put them down. I'm praying for you anyway. I'm praying for all the people who are suffering in this world during this very, very difficult time. But just know that God doesn't need reminding. God's on it. God's present. But I'll hold the field for your hope and your forgiveness and your love until you can find it yourself. Let's bear with one another and bear kindly with one another. That's the whole point of being family.